Of all the monarchs resistant to change, none could compare with Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. His Romanov family had, for 3 centuries, ruled over 1/6 of the world by divine right. But the transformations sweeping across Europe were also beginning to appear in Russia. For the first time, peasants could travel to the capital and actually see their Tsar. The writer Maxim Gorky recorded one peasant's experience upon meeting Nicholas in 1902.
This is what happened to me when I met the Tsar. Imagine to yourself that you believed in some inaccessible person, thought that in that person were united all the finest qualities, all the strength, the wisdom, and holiness of Russia. And all of a sudden, at the bidding of fate, you are placed eye to eye with that person. And you see, with sorrow and fear, you see that he is not what you supposed. The glitter around him and the splendor are all there, but it's all a sham. Thus I saw in front of me, not the Tsar of my imagination, not the sovereign of my dreams, not even a big man, but just a little fella on very ordinary legs.
Nicholas had never wanted to be Tsar. On his coronation day in 1894, he confessed to his diary, "It is a job I have feared all my life."
Tsar Nicholas II was probably the unluckiest man in Europe. He was the wrong place at the wrong time, in the wrong job. He never wanted to be Tsar. He never wanted to lead the country. He never wanted to lead the army. He was a private man, intensely religious, utterly devoted to his family, and never had a chance to do any of that because of the nature of the regime. Absolute monarchy has the terrible curse of having to live with the people that are born into it.
Nicholas was a member of the world's most remarkable family, one that connected all of the ruling houses of Europe. Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany was Nicholas's first cousin, and both men were nephews of Britain's Prince of Wales. And Nicholas's wife, Alexandra, was the prince's niece. It was a curious but dangerous intermingling, for at the head of the family sat Queen Victoria, a carrier of the gene for hemophilia. The dreaded disease struck Nicholas's family in 1904, when Alexandra gave birth to their only son and the heir to the throne, Alexis. For him, the normal bumps and bruises for a boy often turned into life-threatening episodes of uncontrollable bleeding. Feeling deep guilt for her son's suffering, Alexandra sought refuge here in her private chapel. Night after night, she begged God for a miraculous cure. Her prayers were answered, she believed, in the form of a peasant faith healer named Rasputin.
God has seen your tears and heard your prayers. Do not grieve. The little one will not die.
Only Rasputin, Alexandra believed, could save her son.
My much-loved, never-to-be-forgotten teacher, Savior, I am so wretched without you. My soul is only rested and at ease when you, my teacher, are near me.
Before long, Rasputin had progressed from faith healer to trusted member of the royal family's inner circle, dispensing disastrous advice on matters of state.
Rasputin was a man of two faces. He had this holy man persona. He also was enormously dissolute. He drank more than anybody else has ever drunk, and he was a great womanizer. He was very attractive to women who felt that he had special powers. St. Petersburg and the country knew about the dissolute side. They saw this fraud going to the palace and seeing the empress, and this inevitably led to stories about the relationship between the two, which fed the belief that the monarchy was corrupt, that the whole thing was just a sort of a cesspool of ineptitude and corruption.
But while Russia's rulers were caught up in a world better suited to the Middle Ages, Russia was moving rapidly into the 20th century. Ahead lay a war and a revolution that Nicholas and his family would not survive. If there were winds of change blowing across Russia, in Germany there was a hurricane. In just 30 years, the capital of Berlin was transformed from a backwater of 700,000 to a mechanized metropolis of over 2 million. The result was a nation both modern and medieval, and anyone walking the streets of Berlin could see it.
These grandees, the Kaiser, his generals, wearing these fantastic, archaic cavalry uniforms, traveling around in motor cars. I mean, the absurdity of it must have been self-evident at the time. One just gapes.
The Kaiser and his generals were not alone in their visions of glory. Millions of middle-class Germans shared their belief in the superiority of German culture. And if war was necessary to secure Germany the colonial empire it deserved, then war it would be.
And in that sense, the Kaiser is in some ways representative of that generation which comes of age in the 1890s. Bismarck regarded colonies as a distraction. Well, for younger people, this was all a little bit fuddy-duddy, and if the Kaiser was going to give them colonies, they liked the sound of that.
But the country's explosive growth had also given birth to another Germany, one filled with the most politically active workers in Europe. Their Social Democratic Party was determined that they and their families would share in the newfound prosperity. Time and again, tens of thousands of them took to the streets to press their demands.
It's a function of the pace of change and the pace of urbanization that you both had this amazing militarization and growth of military power and proletarianization, growth of working class power. The Kaiser would have demonstrations for his birthday. The Social Democratic Party would have demonstrations for the 1st of May, and they were about the same size. It was not at all surprising that anybody who lived in Germany would find this the most dynamic, the most robust, and the most terrifying nation in the world.